I don't know what to do now. Wait a minute. Now I'm all
I
off.
was a little premature with that one.
What if I was trying to get you to guess a celebrity
Yes.
and I made a sound effect
Okay.
like this? No, 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 no.
Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase is in the news, and not for a good reason.
Uh-oh.
We'll do that next on Men Are So Smart. My friends, Chevy Chase was living out a scenario right out of a National Lampoon flick. The actor claims that he was attacked in a road rage incident while traveling over the Tappan Zee Bridge in New York earlier this month when a passenger kicked him so hard he fell to the ground.
Chase, who's 74 years old, told police that a black pickup truck, which is what I drive,
Hey,
wasn't me. I wasn't there.
that's not an alibi.
Cut him off on February 9th, and he thought the truck might have hit his car, so he flashed his lights until the driver pulled over.
How could that ever be a good idea, flashing
That
the
sounds
lights?
like a great idea, yeah. He realized there was no damage, but still went up to the driver. Now there's where it gets super sketchy. Don't ever do that. To speak to him about his reckless driving, according to the gossip sites. And that's when the trouble started.
He realized there was no damage, but one of the passengers flipped off the actor and he fired back, reportedly saying, you kids today, if I were a lot younger, I'd bust your nose. Well, his threat led one of the passengers to get out of the car and kick him in the shoulder, causing him to hit the ground, according to the report.
That's a pretty. Have you ever tried to kick anybody in the shoulder?
I don't think I could raise my
I'm
leg
trying
that
to
high.
picture that. Yeah. So obviously we're talking some young men here.
This guy was a gymnastics star.
So the driver claimed that Chase threw a punch first, and that the kicker was trying to block his fist with a foot. That's
That
impossible.
wouldn't be my normal reaction.
No, that's impossible. The person who kicked the actor was cited with second-degree harassment, according to reports. A witness also was involved in the report, and nothing he pulled over because he didn't want to witness the older man get his butt kicked.
Chase was a key cast member in the first season of Saturday Night Live and went on to star in films like the National Lampoon franchise, Caddyshack,
My favorite.
Fletch, and countless others. And he was on a TV show
Community.
with Joel McHale.
Yes, Community. And you know what? He was so
Bizarre.
bizarre. I have a feeling he wasn't playing a character.
I think he was just being
I
himself.
think he was being
I
himself.
think that's what you're suggesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Land Shark.
Yes.
When you think about it, he has given us so many laughs over the years. Really.
I really do. I just really love older not older years wise, but previous years Chevy Chase. Everything he did was so brilliant. I really, I feel bad about him doing this, but let me just say, don't ever get involved in any type of a road rage thing, because as bad as you think you might be, there's somebody out there that's badder and that's going to kick you in the shoulder, and you don't know how many times somebody has just been knocked down to the ground, hit their head, and died.
Yeah, on a curb or something.
Yeah, so it's just never a good idea. In fact, our friend Pat
That
Walsh was involved in something similar in this. It's never, ever a good idea. And he did everything he could to try to, get around it. And these people were intent on causing him some harm. So, hey, if somebody cuts you off, as long as they didn't touch your car, and it sounds like he found that out, let it go.
Live to see another day.
Yes.
The person that cuts you off, they probably got a billion problems on their mind too.
Yeah.
Just let them go. All right, so this next story, Ronnie, I picked out purposely because you're the authority on legal matters on the show.
Yes.
An Austin based appeals court didn't buy a San Antonio man's argument that the state's blood alcohol limit of 0.08 discriminates against, get this, alcoholics. Ralph Alfred Freisenhahn argued that his 4-year prison sentence for his 4th DWI conviction should be overturned because the legal driving limit discriminates against people with a higher alcohol tolerance, the Austin American-Statesman reported. He said it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and is therefore unconstitutional.
Well, unfortunately, the Third Court of Appeals wrote in an opinion issued Friday that because the state limit is applied to everyone equally, it's not unconstitutional. He argued that many folks who suffer from the disease of alcoholism are able to maintain normal functioning at 0.08 versus a person who does not.
Freisenhahn said alcoholism is a disability under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the driving limit allows for members of the protected class of alcoholics to be prosecuted without showing that they lost control of their mental or physical faculties.
Alcoholics and recovering alcoholics can be protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act, allowing them to seek reasonable accommodations from their employers, such as altered work schedules according to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
The court opinion written by Justice Cindy Olson Borland said that he didn't argue that alcoholics are treated differently under the law. Rather, the court found he argued alcoholics should be treated differently, the opinion said.
Yeah, Freisenhahn was arrested after a crash in Colma County, south of New Braunfels. Tests later indicated his blood alcohol concentration was 0.29.
So 3 times.
Yes, a little more, almost 4 times. Sammy McCrae, chief of felony division for the Como County Criminal Defense Attorney's Office, told statesmen that the idea of driving limit law is discriminatory is simply ridiculous.
Quote, "You're not being punished for being an alcoholic. It's the driving that's the problem," McCrary said. "It's making the decision to get into a 3,000-pound vehicle after drinking."
Yeah, that's the problem. A prestigious panel of scientists released a report in January recommended lowering the legal driving limit to 0.05. Wow. The National Transportation Safety Board made the same recommendations in 2013.
Utah has passed a law to lower its threshold for blood alcohol concentration to the suggested 0.5, which will go into effect soon in 2018. Specifically as it pertains to that last paragraph, having lived in Utah, Salt Lake City specifically, for about a year, I can tell you they don't fool around. They even have a lower alcohol level in their beers.
Oh, wow.
Like 2.5, I think it is. And when I was there, and this was quite a few years ago, I guess it was 1989, you couldn't even buy beer on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. I've been to a state. We were in Arkansas. We were in a dry county, and no beer on Sunday, and also no beer. There was no beer, no alcohol sold in the county we were in. You had to go one county over to buy alcohol at all.
Okay, so Ronnie, let's talk about the basis for this article here. This is a man who has a terrible record of driving under the influence. 4th arrest. This one was an accident. Well, I'm not going to call it an accident. You know, in the business now they call it a collision.
Yeah.
And that he was responsible for. But he's saying that because he drinks so much alcohol, that being at 0.029, as he was in this case, it's not the same for a person who doesn't drink all the time, and that he should be treated differently.
Well, the facts of the case would tend to disagree with that because he crashed his car. So if he were perfectly capable of driving, And obviously 0.29, nobody's capable of driving, at that level. But I will say that I have seen a lot of what I would call high functioning professional
Right.
drunks
Yep.
that at '08 they they don't appear unsteady on their feet. Um, that because basically that's a maintenance level for them.
Mm.
They never let themselves get below about an '05 to an '08.
Mm-hmm.
They're drinking all day long, and so it is kind of their normal state.
What do you think of the change from .08 down to 0.5?
You know what? That's going to really hurt restaurants. If somebody comes in without a designated driver, I believe more than one beer is going to put you over '05.
Yeah, see, that's what I wonder about. I'm a large fella. You're pretty tall yourself. And I'm okay if I've had a beer.
Right.
It's not going to, what am I going to be, .02? But then, Ronnie, isn't that technically still, if you're .02, you're under the influence?
Technically, depending on what your driving is, so if you happen to be doing some reckless driving after you've been drinking, even if you're below an '08, you can still be charged with driving under the influence.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of it is because, your driving is such a multitasking, deal. So many things going on at the same time. Your speed has to be right. You have to maintain your lane. Your headlights have to be on.
Maybe your windshield wipers.
Windshield wipers have to be aware of other vehicles on the road. It is, it's no wonder that young kids get in so many crashes. They're not aware of everything going on around them. And as you get older, you become more of a professional driver.
We call that seat time.
Yeah, there is definitely a seat time. There's an advantage to putting in seat time.
I get such a kick. My kids, I have an older son who's 33, and then I have a son who's about to turn 22, and a daughter that'll be 21, maybe even today. If this airs on Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. They're constantly telling me, "Oh my God, Dad, you're the most terrible driver. I can't believe I'm such a better driver than you." And I just sit back and go, whatever you think.
Yeah.
Do you really think that? Let's see, Ron, how many years? You're 16. That's 44 years.
44 years.
You've been driving. Don't you think that a person who's been behind the wheel for 44 years has a better judgment and reaction than somebody who is, say, 20?
Well, just ask your daughter, as I could ask my son, who was the last person in the family to crash a car.
Aha.
So, a lot goes right there. That's, you really do. And certain things seem like they're unavoidable. But honestly, having that seat time gives you the experience to know, hey, I need to slow down here in advance.
In anticipation.
Yes, the streets are slick.
Yep.
My stopping time is greatly increased. I have to leave a bigger barrier between me and the car in front of me.
Especially on the freeway.
Yep. It's, there are just so many things that are just second nature to you after you've been driving so long.
And these people that come, it happened to me just on Friday of last week. I had this guy in the rain. It was a torrential downpour here in Sacramento going over our river.
Yeah.
And traffic was slowing down ahead. I had lifted on the gas and I was probably slowing down to about 65 or so. And this guy from out of nowhere, I don't even know where he came from, flying up behind me. He's got to be going 90 miles an hour. I have figured that between 65 and 70 is a safe speed for me. And that's as safe as I'm going to go in the rain.
Right.
This guy's going 90, Ron.
Was he in a DeLorean?
No.
Did he just maybe pop in with a bunch of sparks behind the car when
we weren't even near a
suddenly
movie
came out of
theater.
nowhere?
He just zapped right into the picture. I don't know where he came from. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, okay. I've been driving for 45 years, and I've decided that the speed limit should be around 65 in the rain. Yet, for you, as a 24-year-old, you have so much experience that 90 is not a problem in the rain.
Right.
You can react to it better than I could, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Get off my lawn.
Yep. Well, it's just like I said. Hey, I believe this guy when he says that he can probably function pretty well at an '08, but not the multitasking that's required to drive a car.
Yeah.
So
and it doesn't matter. I mean, you're
really
at .08. That's the law.
Yeah, it's the law.
It doesn't matter what your consuming rate is. I mean,
he's going to have 4 years to become a non-alcoholic. So
or drink that prison wine that you talk about
yeah,
so much.
Pruno.
Yeah,
that's not good stuff at all.
It's even better than Boone's Farm. Sorry, Boone's Farm. I guess they won't be a sponsor anytime soon.
No, we just lost them, I think. Yeah.
Strawberry Hill. All right, that'll wrap up this episode. We certainly send our best wishes and hopes for a speedy recovery to Chevy Chase.
Yep.
And hope to see you back in something very soon.
Yep.
And we will also caution you at this point, please do not drink and drive. There are so many opportunities and alternatives to doing that, not the least of which is Uber and Lyft.
Yep.
Please utilize those services. Call a cab, whatever it takes.
A family member.
You know what? You could change the entire life for one family that you don't even know.
Yeah.
And all of the dominoes that fall in sequence when a person from another family is injured or, God forbid, killed.
Yeah.
So please don't drink and drive,
No,
okay?
No reason.
I'm Lou Gallagher.
I'm Corvette Ronnie.
Look below for all of our information. Subscribe to our channel. We will see you next time right here on Men Are So Smart.
Bye-bye. Good call. It's still a great freaking movie. I think that's his best work ever, honestly.